That's right, Susan. Well, in the run-up to the final day, there's been a lot of talk about trade. The US has been pushing itself as the #1 trading partner for countries in the region. In South America, that's currently a position occupied by China. And the US, represented here by Vice President Mike Pence, has also suggested that it might consider renegotiating the NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, which of course has big implications for Mexico, and has said that it might consider rejoining the TPP, or the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which includes a lot of countries in South America on the Pacific coast. That was an agreement of which Donald Trump pulled out around a year ago. But in the plenary session today, there have been more controversial topics which have dominated the agenda. The leaders' photo was one of the few events which went according to plan. The region's most controversial leaders were absent, but that did little to subdue tensions among the 30-plus assembled heads of state. Venezuela's deepening plight was high on the agenda. US Vice President Mike Pence had some tough words for the Maduro government.
The United States believes now is the time to do more, much more. Every free nation gathered here must take stronger action to isolate the Maduro regime. We must all stand with our brothers and sisters suffering in Venezuela.
Pence pledged $16 million in humanitarian aid to help refugees who have fled the crisis in Venezuela. But Cuba's Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez, who replaced Raul Castro at the summit, said the US didn't have the moral high ground. Host country Peru barred Venezuela's president from attending.
Lamentamos profundamente.
We regret that our brother Nicolas Maduro is not seated with us because of the pressure from the United States.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Nevertheless, most leaders condemned the humanitarian and financial situation in Venezuela. The presidents of Argentina and Colombia said the region should not accept what happens in the country's elections next month.
We will not recognize the result of elections, which are designed to disguise a dictatorship.
US President Donald Trump bowed out of the summit ahead of the airstrikes on Syria. And while most nations voiced tacit condemnation of the alleged chemical weapons used by Syria, Canada supported the military action.
Canada stands with our friends in this necessary response, and we condemn in the strongest possible terms the use of chemical weapons in last week's attack in eastern Ghouta.
Susan, the theme of this conference has been battling corruption, and the only agreement on which all of the leaders have been able to find a unanimous consensus is that of an anti-corruption declaration, which is signed at the end of this summit. Many people are skeptical about how that will be put into practice, as Latin America in particular is currently engulfed in the biggest corruption scandal in its history related to the Brazilian firm Odebrecht, and it affects some 12 countries in the region. As you heard there in the report, there's clear divisions about what to do about Venezuela. Another declaration was signed related to Venezuela, but only half of the some 30 heads of state attending this summit actually signed it. And so there's clearly a lot more to be decided about what to do about that particular South American country.
Dan